Mr. Burritt here, the gentleman who made this happen.
Hey Jeff, how you doing?
Good. Are you in your office?
No.
Oh, okay. No, I'm in the electric car right outside your office here in the window. Well, we try to pay a visit to Mr. Burritt and Mr. Kelly, but they're out at a meeting right now. It actually rides really nice. It really does. Acceleration is good. The handling's good. It's going to be interesting when the students get to drive it. It'll be their first vehicle they have driven without power steering. Let's see how really good the suspension is. All right.
Mr. Z is great teacher, great guy, and thank you to D214 for sponsoring this.
I'm very grateful to have Mr. Z as my autos teacher. He's always cooperative, even when I'm not the best student. He's always cooperative. I'm just thankful for all that he does for us and being an awesome teacher in general.
I am super proud of the kids and what they have accomplished. This learning opportunity, it really is amazing. What I'm really excited for is the memories that we've made for these students. They're going to never forget this project the rest of their life.
Welcome to the Student Services area of our school that's going to be under construction.
Good morning. This is a special meeting of the Township High School District 214 Board of Education on Friday, May 24th, 8 a.m. Please call the roll.
Dustling.
Here.
Fiorito.
Here.
Heineman.
Present.
Palmer.
Here.
Rauch.
Here.
Walker. Kreutzer.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Could everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I don't believe anyone signed up for public comment. So we have one action item this morning. Can I have a motion and a second for approval of the Education Association contract agreement?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Kate, you want to start us off?
Sure. On behalf of Dr. Rowe and the Negotiations Committee, I present to you a summary of a agreement. So I think it's a contract that helps settle some financial asks of the association. And I also believe it's a contract that supports the growth of our students in a very ever-changing world. So very proud of what's in front of you today and really appreciate the collaborative process that we had with the association. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Dustling, would you like to start? Any questions?
You know, the interesting thing about the contract was, from my perspective, was what was done with the benefits. The benefits situation is, and I've been on a benefit committee for a long time. I can remember, I was talking to Nicole before, I remember when I first got on, we were at a situation where we had benefits well under $10 million. And in the time that I've been on the committee, we're now well over $20 million. And certainly, the costs are going to keep rising. And what was done here to address it for the good of the district and the employees was done very well. So I congratulate the bargainers on that. I think this will, moving forward, will give us something better than just an annual ratchet of trying to ratchet things up. It'll give us some ability to look forward and see what's going on. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dessling. Ms. Palmer, do you have anything at this time?
No, I just wanted to say I was very happy with the contract, that, you know, our teachers, our staff are the heart of the district, and so of course we want to make sure that this is a great place to work and that we're competitive and we're attracting the best talent, but at the same time walk that fine balance between being good stewards of our constituents and our taxpayers' money. And so I know that this took a lot of time and effort, and I really appreciate that walking of that line.
Thank you. Mr. Heineman, anything? Okay. Ms. Rauch?
Sure. First of all, I would like to thank the EA for coming to the table, working together with us. As Ms. Palmer said, we can't do what we do without you. You are, and other members of our staff, are what makes our district great, and our students and families are very fortunate to have you. Being a parent myself, I can just go on and on. What I see, the hours that you put in beyond the classroom hours. A few things that topics that came up in the contract that I thought were of interest was how you look both on our side as well as the EA side for the benefit and the betterment and the growth of students, and looking at what we're currently doing, continuing to evaluate. You know, block schedule is an item that comes up in there. Another one is looking at, and Dr. Rowe, I'll refer to you if you want to go into any more detail, looking at the parent-teacher conferences and what are we doing with that? How are we communicating with our students? And again, looking at the betterment of the students, and you bring that to the table. So thank you for continuing to do the best that you can do and make our students outstanding representatives that we send out of this district. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rauch. Mr. Fiorito.
Yeah, I want to echo a little bit what Andrea just said. I've been part of 4 contract negotiations in the other districts that I was part of before District 214, and as I've always said, that when it comes to negotiations, there are no winners and there are no losers, and because if there were, then you wouldn't have a partnership. And it's clear that in the negotiations that we had with the teachers, it was definitely a strong partnership. A lot of what is presented to us today clearly shows that we were looking to make changes that were for the betterment of not just our teachers and us, but also our students and our parents as well. So I do have a couple questions that I wanted to ask. I'm going to start with Tim. 3.6, the salary increase. I just wanted to get a little bit of an idea if this kind of falls in line what we forecast out for the long term.
Certainly. Thank you for the question, Mr. Fiorito. Yes, when we met with the board prior to bargaining and we had broad conversations about where the authority lied and where we were going to make our investments and parameters that in terms of the board's expectations, we shared long-range financial plans with you, and we were very mindful as a team to stay within those. And certainly this, from a financial standpoint, fits within that 5-year window that we shared with the board back in the winter.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, my next question is 3.612, the stipends. I'm going to just direct this one at Kate. If you can please elaborate on the need for this, because I know it did come up in a prior board meeting as well.
Yeah, I think there were 2 aspects of the stipends that really needed to be addressed. The first was just the equity piece in we were in a 5-year agreement, and the last agreement stipends weren't touched too much, and so a lot has changed in terms of what we offer and what our students' interests and needs are. And so some of that was kind of patchworked together in terms of a club might start at one building and there's a stipend available for it, and then it starts at another building and there wasn't a stipend available. So part of our of the work was to make sure that there was equity among what we offered and how we compensated people who were a part of that. And the second really had to do with really trying to retain coaches in-house as much as we can. And we all know that after a certain amount of years with the responsibilities of coaching and sponsoring just increasing over time, that it's hard to sustain coaches, especially when many people get to the point in their lives where they're caring for their parents or caring for children. It's just tough. And so by increasing the steps, it was a way to hopefully incentivize some coaches to stay on, respect their expertise in what they're coaching or sponsoring, and just retain the best scenario for our kids.
Okay. Yeah, I want to add to that. I was recently at one of the schools for the PTC meeting, and the principal at the time shared with the many parents that were present that one of the concerns he had was that they lacked certain sponsorship for clubs, and it was really hampering the activities that could be offered to students. And so he felt, without getting in particulars, because I don't think most of the audience would have known what exactly he was saying, but he mentioned that he thought that this particular term in the contract would help with making sure that we had not only, athletics, but also from a club perspective, we would have sponsorships. So that way you would have activities for all of our students rather than, oops, we don't have anybody for that, so we're going to have to drop it. The second thing with the stipends that I wanted to ask you about is the teachers earning the EL and the special education, if you can elaborate on that as well.
Yeah, so I think with those certifications, there's a functional piece of that, and then there's a professional development piece of that. The functional piece is that, the board saw a presentation in April about our EL learners, and with the population increasing, the need to offer more classes. And so from a functional perspective, we needed to find a way to help incentivize teachers to get that certification. And the second piece is just the skills that are gained from earning a special education endorsement or an EL endorsement, and those skills that are gained translate into every classroom. And so we really needed to address some of those specific certifications in different ways. And really, for some teachers who are veteran teachers who may have moved on the pay scale, there really wasn't an incentive to go out and get that EL endorsement, except what many teachers do out of the goodness of their own hearts. And so this was a way to try and broaden the skill set and allow us to meet the needs of the kids.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Tim and Kate, for addressing all my questions and concerns.
Thank you. Dr. Rowe?
All right, I'll appreciate the points that you made, and wanted to expound very quickly on a point that Ms. Kraft made about the stipends. Is not only is it a way to incentivize, but we talk a lot about, on our team this year, we've been talking about systems, and how we can create a system that creates not only an equitable environment, but a similar experience across our schools in certain areas. And, her point was true that, the teams really identified some areas where students in one building were having an experience because of a stipend schedule that supported adults and these clubs, whereas at another school, it was either on a voluntary basis or just wasn't happening. And so it allowed us to create and take us another step forward to ensuring that our environment is really equitable for our student experience, but also for our staff that are wanting to support students in their time. So to Mr. Rauch's point, I just wanted to highlight, we embarked on this block schedule conversation back in maybe late September, early October, and had a really great conversation. Mr. Dustling sat on that committee as a representative of the board, had really good discussions about the block and the value of the block, and I'll remind everyone we had over 90% in favor of the block, from staff to students to parents included. So keeping the block was a priority for us because everyone was enjoying it as much as they were in terms of the balance it provided and the depth. But what we needed to address was we were falling short of a state mandate that renewed a couple of years ago in terms of 300 minutes of seat time. So we had to address that. So the reason we couldn't communicate anything prior to now is it needed to go through the process with the EA to vote and the board to vote. Communication will be going to families on Tuesday outlining the details. But the school start time will adjust slightly in order for us to hit that 300 minutes. It'll be an 8:20 start and a 3:10 dismissal. The staff day was unchanged, but it was a collaborative process and one that I think sets us up to move forward. In the fall, we will be engaging in a secondary scheduling institute with a group of 16 people to really not only look at, now that we meet the mandated seat time requirements, we can really look at what occurs during the day, and are there levers that we can pull once we establish shared priorities and values of what we want our schedule to help us accomplish with our students, so that we can ensure that what occurs between 8:20 and 3:10, hopefully on a block, and we expect that it would remain on a block for at least the next 2 years it will, but we're going to evaluate how can we pull the levers to make sure that our schedule really supports what we're driving at for our students. So our goal is to remain on a block because everyone likes it so much, but we need to go through the values and priorities process before we can say we're on a block forever, and things change and evolve. We need to remain flexible. The other comment that Ms. Rock made was parent-teacher conferences, and in the negotiating process, topics come up that we have, you just do things because you've always done them sometimes. And, an EA raised the question about, our parent-teacher conferences in their current form still serving our best need of communicating and creating a partnership with our families. We began really looking at that and identified the fact that we had a 20% participation rate across all of our schools in the evening in October, and that we don't have to operate that way. So our conversations really led us to how can we increase the communication and really make it on demand. When you need to connect with a teacher, or a parent wants to connect with your teacher wants to connect with a parent, that's really where the real work happens. Parent-teacher conferences are almost ceremonial, and that it's not, we want it to serve a purpose. So some of the agreements that we made are, student starts to struggle, D or an F, that contact is being made from the teacher to home. And anytime a parent wants to connect via phone or a Zoom, our teachers are happy to do that, and vice versa. Our teachers will reach out for those conversations. So I just want to, and as we dug into that, we learned we're certainly not the only district having this conversation. Several of our other schools in our area, high school districts especially, have already abandoned the ceremonial parent-teacher conferences. So just to put that out there, in the fall you'll see that when the schedule is released, there won't be a specific parent-teacher conference night, but those conversations, our intent is that those conversations will actually increase because of the expectation of teacher-to-parent contact when a student dips to a certain level. So I commend the team, really appreciate all the work and effort on both sides that went into it. I'm really happy with the process. When Ms. Kraft came and said, I think we have a contract that's win-win, you can't beat that. I think everybody, our district is better for what the negotiating team has put together. Thank you.
Thank you. Having sat on the negotiating team, I really, it was an education, let's just say that. It's actually, in my lifetime of being a board member, both on another board and this board, this is the fourth contract I've negotiated, but the first with the Education Association. And it was really a learning experience. I really appreciated being on the team because I learned things, the inner workings, because as a board member, our job is to macro-manage the district and not micromanage district, and I'm sure you appreciate it, Nicole, but learning the inner workings of the struggles sometimes that the Education Association has, it was really very eye-opening, and I really appreciate the frank conversations. I want to thank the team of Kate, Kara, Brad, Paul, and Tim. And on the EA side, Nicole, Pete, Tim, Gabriella, Laura, and Bree. And we had about 11 meetings. Yeah, I don't know how many hours, but it was really good discussions. I really appreciate all the frank conversations we had, and we learned a little bit about each other during the process. So I really appreciate everything that your team did and the admin team did to prepare and to get us to where we are today. So the motion is to approve the 2024-2029 collective bargaining agreement between the Board of Education and the District 214 Education Association, subject to final review and approval of legal counsel. Nicole, would you like to say something? Okay.
Thank you, Board, for having me, as always. I appreciate coming. I definitely want to thank the negotiation teams on both sides. It was definitely a collective effort. I do definitely want to also stress that we're going to continue to maintain, continue to talk, continue to evaluate our needs going forward. The EA is very committed to our students. We're very committed to what we need to do to better this schools, to better our school community, and to better our global community at large. So as we talked and learned a little bit about each other and the inner workings of not only schools but our boards, we definitely want to continue to push those collaborative conversations. One of the things that I thought was extremely important was that we want to look at the special needs of our students who have particularly more challenging roads to head for them. So 504 collaboration moving forward is going to be huge. We have wording in the contract that is monumental, and we want to continue to evaluate to see what needs will continue to grow around those particular students, as well as our growing EL population, as Kate has talked about. We've seen hundreds from when I started in the district to now thousands. And as I often quoted, our needs are going to continue to rise even if our populations continue to drop. So we need to keep that in mind as we move forward. I think we're good, but I want us to continue to remain good. So if you ever need to reach out to me on behalf of the entire team, feel free. But thank you so much for this process, and I look forward to keeping this contract at the highest maintained level as possible. So thank you all.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second, and I've read the item. So can I have a roll call, please?
Dustling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
Palmer. Aye. Welk.
Aye.
And Kreutzer.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you. And are we signing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I know, I gotta go teach that. Thanks for being here, Nicole. Yes, there's a whole bunch of anxious soccer.
And there's 4 doors there or something.
Okay, that was the only action item, so I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, please call the roll.
Palmer. Aye. Welk.
Aye.
Dustling.
Yes.
Fiorito.
Yes.
Heineman.
Aye.
And Kreutzer.
Aye. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming this morning. The meeting is adjourned.